I discovered a trick that made my AI agent ridiculously effective. It migrated a giant, horribly written legacy app from MongoDB to SQL in just a few days and with almost no input from me. I'm about to share my secrets with you, but first, let me ask you something. Do you ever work with these AI agents and find yourself repeating the same things over and over, only to watch it churn out another overly complex function or just ignore testing entirely? When it's a clean slate, the AI can generate functional code with just a few prompts, but once it has to deal with the technical debt it created, it becomes essentially useless. That was the one thing that kept me from relying on these tools. Until recently, when I had one crucial insight that changed everything. Once I applied this technique, this is what happened.
The tests are passing, and we have committed the change, but there is significant duplication. I suggest we refactor before moving on.
The trick I used is based on a post-commit hook. If you'd like to see the code, just follow the link in the description. But to take full advantage of this technique, you need to know why it works. So let me explain. Generative AI shares the same shortcomings as us humans. Here's what I mean by that. AI models have something called a context window. It is the amount of text the model can process at one time. It is including your conversation history, the files it loaded, and its own responses. While modern models have huge context windows, some with millions of tokens, as always, there is a catch. The effective context window, the part the AI can actually use, is much smaller. Think maybe around 7,000 to 8,000 tokens. Once your conversation grows past that, the quality of the responses degrades rapidly. Us, humans, also struggle with keeping large complex systems in our minds. The consequences are slightly different, but under high cognitive load, we also get fatigued sooner. We also start to overlook things easily. And that's why much of extreme programming is all about managing cognitive load. We want to keep as little in our minds as possible. And that is why we write one test at a time. That is why we refactor. That is why we commit often. The less cognitive load, the better. This brings me to a famous quote from Ken Beck. He said, "I'm not a great programmer. I'm just a good programmer with great habits." Not talent, nor work ethic, but habits are what separate the best programmers from the okay programmers. Unfortunately, while we humans are capable of forming habits, AIs can't. At least not while doing inference, which is what we have access to. Helping humans gain habits is something I know how to do. By simply repeating the same ideas over and over, people eventually remember. AIs don't, and that repetition gets old fast. So we need something that repeats them for us. Here is how I automatically prompt my AI agent. First, I set up a task that runs quality checks on the code. Test coverage, cyclomatic complexity, duplication detection, that kind of stuff. Second, I ask my agent to add a post-commit hook that runs these quality checks. So now the script runs automatically right after the commit. When I first tried this, the agent ignored the whole thing. So we need one more thing for this to work. Each AI agent has a file where you can give it rules. This file needs to be short so it remains in the effective context window. But one thing I did add was this line. It basically tells the AI agent whatever comes after a specific pair of emojis is critical user prompt and it needs to act on it. Now all I had to do was adding a prompt for each quality check that tells the AI what to do. And it works amazingly well. When the hook runs, it outputs something like duplication detected, identify the missing abstraction, and refactor. The AI sees this pattern, treats it as high priority command from me, and acts on it. So now you know my trick, and you can check out my project by following the link below. These last couple of weeks, I've been playing a lot with AI coding techniques. If you want to hear more about this, subscribe to my newsletter and here on YouTube. See you next time.